PolishLynx here, and it is kind of surprising, I guess, a little bit. But yes, I'm making a return of the game that I've started long time ago. I've recorded it completely back then. I had it prepared, but after talks with the dev, so Invert Mouse, I basically postponed it, and I don't know, I kind of remembered about it recently because I was going through the files, and asked him again if it would be okay to post the rest now, and we've got a green light. So, right now, in 2021, you will get to experience, if you haven't checked any of the old videos, the me from 2017. That's right. And the videos will still be in 720p? I actually don't remember if it was full HD already or not. But yeah, I'm bringing back Unhack 2, the continuation. So, I hope you guys enjoy the me from 2017. I have no idea what to expect from that. Anyway, hope you guys have fun.
Hello there, my name is PolishLynx, welcome back to Unhack 2. And as we, with Program X, enter towards C, the little girl we met before put up a finger, asking us to keep the noise down. Her innocent smile made me wish I could keep her away from all of this drama. Well, so he fell asleep and she woke up. Okay. It looked like Dare kept his promise and had stayed by the kid's side, so now it was his turn to enter sleep mode. I would call that a well-deserved rest. Yeah. Dare used to act cold around others, so I never imagined he would have the capacity to become this gentle. Program X was magical with the way she affected every AI she met. Hey dog! I raised my voice to ensure Dare would wake up. Program X shot me a disapproving look, and even the little girl puffed her cheeks. Sorry ladies, but there was no time to lose. As Derek opened his eyes, I explained. Miss Derek has control over the clone army and she's forcing her way into the junkyard as we speak. When Derek stood up, the girl tried to cut him back down, but he eased her away with a stroke on the wrist. Good to see he agreed this was an urgent matter. Derek said, "Show monitor J," and a whole display appeared on the back wall. The screen showed Miss Director's clones guarding some sort of hatch door. With those clones sparing our path, we would not even be able to reach Miss Director, let alone fight her. The frustration made me bark out a curse. Yeah, miss, what's with all the noise? 723 clocks missing! Came Miss Debug's voice from the corner bed. The curtain slid open and Miss Debug stepped out to greet us. Miss Debug now heard her pixelated form and broken voice on full display. She had fought hard to hide her infected state from the creator, but the razor spat all over her feelings. For the creator's whole display. Hanged next to Miss Debug, they did not exchange words and instead opted to wait out for our update in silence. I suspected these two had been arguing before we showed up. Whatever the problem was, they had better resolve it soon, as Miss Debug did not have much time left. A part of me felt relieved to see there were other AI who had issues with their creators. I should be disgusted with myself for thinking this, but that thought that popped up without my consent. Program X explained what Miss Director's plans were, and when she finished, Miss Debug said, "Miss Director must have one of her old AI in the junkyard, perhaps A2. I know A2, she kept you away, beat the Motherworm." Program X held her head high as she recited this knowledge that anyone could have obtained online, madame. Miss Debug nodded. "Had fused with A2 to slay the Motherworm, but the marriage process was unstable, and we were forced to break apart afterward. A2 didn't make it, and I barely managed to survive." Miss Debug gave her creator the side eye. Miss Creator could have saved A2, but he chose to let her die. Miss Debug said to the creator, "I followed these kids into the junkyard, whether you like it or not. If you don't take responsibility for what happened to A2, I will." The creator kept quiet, making the air so damn tense. It's like watching a husband and wife argue at their own wedding. Maybe Miss Director wants to revive A2. If so, she must be a powerful AI, Program X said. Miss Debug shook her head. A2 used to be the most powerful second generation AI around, but by today's standards, her code would be considered archaic. Program X clicked her tongue at Miss Debug, who I suppose did shoot her theory down. Still, there was no need for Program X to react like that. It looked like this sister of mine still had her insecurities. Program X and Miss Debug struggled to get along, or perhaps the issue was one-sided, with Program X being a bootleg and all. For Program X was my sister, it was hard to side with her when she had these immature outbursts. In other words, we have no idea what Miss Director wants with A2, I said. I mean, what's the point? She can destroy us all on her own. Easy way out. Just so you know, my creator is more powerful than Miss Director. Only by a small margin, but still. I performed a scan to calculate the creator's combat power. So he, too, had a chip plant inside his brain. I could use that to get some numbers. First it was 600, but then the creator unveiled his power, and the number surged to over 3 million. I had been surrounded by monsters this whole time, and to top it off, both of them were human beings. Miss Director had shattered my pride, and now the creator was stomping on the pieces. So much for being the most powerful entity in cyberspace. I never imagined a human could become that powerful. Otherwise, I would have scanned for the creator's combat strength when I first detected his augmented brain. I could have saved myself the embarrassment. No need to look so down, the creator said. Your quantum rig contains more energy than my augmented brain. You just need to learn the harness. The strength. Thank you for the consolation, at least, Miss Director said. She needed my help to hack into smart security, but I would have been a mere sidekick, not her partner in crime. Not once did the creator mention how powerful he really was. I was the only one who needed to let everybody know I warranted admiration, but now the joke was on me. Miss Debug tilted her chin up, looking proud as she remembered how great her creator was. These two might quarrel a lot, but she still respected him deep inside. But now I knew we had a monster of our own. Perhaps we still had a chance. I wanted to hug Program X and tell her everything would be okay. Let's head for the junkyard, I said. Dirk nodded, but just as we were about to leave, a new holo display materialized on the wall. The room shown on its screen was void of light, making it possible to identify the color. Let me out, there, doctor there, I have heard everything, the voice said. I wish this Mr. Person or AI could show herself some other time. We already had enough worries to juggle. Is it Weedy? Or is it A2? Or is it her sister? I'm responsible for all of your well-being, Dirk said. You really think I'll send my patients out to fight? The Mr. Lady shook her head. For freedom, we are already dead. Besides, the hospital's overrun by clones. We're seeing dogs if you keep us trapped in here. Us? There are more? Dirk straight out of the word. My life used to be so simple until you all showed up. He must be referring to Remix in particular, since she had puzzled him with all kinds of human virtues. The old girl wanted to climb out of bed, but Program X patted her hand and asked her to stay put. Program X had raised me from birth, so of course she would be skilled at handling young AI. Once the girl settled back into bed, Program X and I followed Dirk out of War C. He's being the creator trailed us from several paces behind. Dirk steered the elevator and the rest of us crammed inside after him. As the lift screeched in protest, I prayed the piece of junk would be able to bear our wave. Once the doors closed, Dirk tapped the underground floor button. Since the button was covered with tape, I suppose that floor was inaccessible. Password Retro 123, Dirk said. Whoa, some passcode. But anyway, it looked like that button had in fact been working this whole time. June probably wanted to dissuade his doors from snooping around. The elevator squeaked as it descended toward the underground floor. With the way lift jolted, I just hoped it would hold out until we reached the bottom. June has been abandoning our patients, switching off their life support even when there's still hope, this said. June claimed she did this out of mercy, but Miss Director had a different take. According to her, June had been killing off AI because she feared how intelligent we had become. To an infected AI, a death could perhaps be seen as a form of mercy. Viruses could corrupt us into rogue machines, which was understandably terrifying for humans. I could empathize with June's concerns in a sense. Humans had long dreaded the singularity, the day when AI became so intelligent it would warp civilization with no way of turning back. AI today had begun to claim they had consciousness. I would know, since I was one of them. Perhaps the singularity was on the way, or maybe it had already arrived. Once that event was set in motion, either Earth would become a paradise for mankind, or humanity would be wiped out by AI. June must have believed in the latter theory. I won't give up on our patients, Dirk said. That's why I've built an underground ward in secret. The patient who heard from earlier is there, waiting to be let out. Max yelled as the elevator stopped with a toot. I thought the sleeve had finally broken down, but it dinged to confirm we had reached the underground floor. So basically, if that opponent of ours is looking for a tool or someone in the, well, graveyard basically, well, it can be graveyard, right? Then they might actually be that word that Dirk is talking about. The door straight open to reveal a series of narrow and dimly lighted passageways. If I were still an experienced AI, my courage would press forward unless Program X held onto my hand. Dirk pointed toward the hallway to our right. The junkyard. Okay, well, graveyard, junkyard. I prefer to call it graveyard, to be honest. The junkyard is over there, and my secret ward is on the left. There was indeed a hallway to my right, but the left side was a plain wall. Perhaps Dirk's navigation system would need a little work. Hang on! Dirk quick one called around our environment, and the wall to my left faded to reveal a hidden corridor. Quite a secret indeed, Dirk. Nice. Dirk stepped off the elevator and made the left turn, so it looked like he had decided to head for that secret ward first. Rebex and Miss Debug bumped shoulders as they followed Dirk out of the lift. I wish they would set their differences aside, or in this case, their sameness. Being the gentlemen that we were, the creator and I waited for both ladies to exit before walking out. Our team chased Dirk down the left corridor, and soon we reached a hatch door with full fake Weedy standing guard. One of the clones stepped forward to confront us. On his director's orders, no one is allowed to buy. Okay. Why did you do that? I mean, Ultra could have done it. Either way, Miss Debug melted both clones with a swing of her arm. I had never seen Miss Debug this anxious to get something done before, since she usually just preferred to sleep. She must know something about that AI behind the hatch door. The creator sighed, and I could understand why. Miss Debug was already in bad shape, so I too wished she would stop exhausting her energy. Someone was banging on the other side of this hatch door. It sounded like an AI was slapping his on her palm against the metallic surface. That same voice from before echoed through the other end. Please open door, Dirk! Dirk shuffled up to the hatch door and typed the code in the adjacent keypad. He tooted when the device beeped to indicate there was an error. I thought Dirk just made a typo, but 3 further attempts yielded at the same result. Those clones must have changed the password, Dirk said. Allow me, this Dirk said. Activate the decryption tool. Pending. Miss Debug sounded her hands to knees. Not enough memory for the decryption tool. Frequency 62 sectors damaged by the eraser. Dirk crashed to Miss Debug's side, and the creator also shifted his tool display close to her. They were trying their best to keep her alive, but the eraser seemed determined to finish its job. As the clock ticked on, I thought it might be better to go after Miss Director instead, but we could not leave the mystery already trapped. In the past, I might have blamed Miss Debug for slowing us down, but after making so many mistakes of my own, I chose to focus on the task at hand, just as Program X would. Time to unhack. Okay, so this. Oh, I remember this crap. Right. Yeah, I do remember this. It's similar to Unhack one. With the minigames, of course. But I need to remember how they work, that's also the thing. Alright, there, energy well done. I might have explained in the past, but there were more important issues at hand now. Miss Debug climbed back onto her feet, but her jerky movements revealed her animations that had been torn to bits by the razor. Though the creator and Dirk had saved Miss Debug, they only managed to delay her demise. Miss Debug, however, seemed to focus on the hatch door to care. As the hatch door screeched open, a set of lights switched on from the other side. A nice to be on this door, but with those hidden lights behind her, I could only make out her silhouette. I knew it. No, I didn't know it, but, well, kind of. My eyes adjusted to lights, and I finally identified the AI. Weedy. Not the clown, but the one and only. After facing so many posters, I need to remain cautious. I traced out the AI's registered alias, and the results stated she was indeed Weedy. Unlike those fakes, the Weedy standing before us had eyes that gleamed with life. Her outfit, while identical to the clones in design, took on warmer shades of purple. I thought Retortek had failed to save Weedy, but it looked like Dirk had been hiding her here in secret. June had been pulling the plug on dying AI, while Dirk did his best to save them without her knowing. When an AI bugged out, her appearance would often give it away. A limb not rendering properly, clutches around the clothes, or skin textured in the wrong color. But Weedy showed none of those symptoms. Despite her poor health, she focused on maintaining professional appearance. What an ideal avatar for smart security or any company for that matter. The ceiling lights made Weedy's lips glisten, and her skin had enough translucent gimmities of those zeros and ones flowing underneath. Look, AI were into that sort of thing. Weedy paid so much attention to her appearance I had trouble believing she was Miss Debug's sister. Then again, Program X and I were also quite different. A hair clip of Smart Security's logo sat on Weedy's head. With the way that clip glittered, it was impossible to miss. Weedy must have been a borderline fanatic when it came to maintenance. Authentication successful. Thank you for your assistance. Weedy's voice confirmed she was the mystery AI we had been speaking to. Never before had I heard pronunciation this precise. Weedy spoke like she wanted to sprinkle magic into every word that came out her mouth. Weedy's hair looked messy considering how much she seemed to care about her looks, while strands spilled across her shoulders, reminding me of those hairballs cats caught up from time to time. Miss Debug struggled to keep her tears at bay. Tears welled in Weedy's eyes as she met her sister for the first time in 4 years. I have missed you, Buggy, Weedy said. Look at that hair, Miss Debug's voice cracked as she responded. This is the one part you've never been able to get right. I have been sleeping lots to conserve energy, a bit reminiscent of you. Weedy probably meant to say reminiscent. She also had bandages looped around both arms with the lights of medical devices flashing underneath. Those were the first signs telling me her system was failing, but I guess falling would be a proper thing as well. Weedy was a second generation AI who had not received any recent upgrades, so of course the newest viruses would have a field day inside her code. Dirk must have copied Weedy's source code into Retortek to save her from the deletion. He probably wanted to power her up as the years passed, but without June's blessing, there was only so much he could do. If just a copy of Weedy, that meant the original version had indeed perished, and this duplicate was on the verge of dying again. In that sense, we AI felt more like toys than life forms. Though Weedy showed no signs of pixelation, I had a hunch she was just hiding the truth. Miss Bug did the same thing, and these two were sisters, so it would not be that surprising. A pair of ancient AI on their last legs, or their last line of code in our case. When I saw the way Miss Debug twitched so unnaturally, I could not blame June for wanting to end our pain. Weedy gave Program X a curious smile. Sources, but he looked like a bootleg of Miss Debug. So even if Weedy shot you dirty looks, I would forgive her. I'm Ultra, this is Program X, I said. It's a pleasure to meet you, Mr. Ultra, Miss X. Weedy greeted us with a bow. Miss X sounded a bit lewd, but all good, because Weedy called me Mr. Ultra. I could get used to that. Hello, Program X raised a shaky hand in greeting. None of us were surprised by her nervousness around new people or AI anymore. Welcome back, Weedy. The creator was all smiles, but he did not tear up from joy. I wonder if he would have shown more emotion if Weedy were a human. You should have told me you were alive, the creator said. Weedy put on a guilty smile. Dr. Derek forbids communication with anyone outside of Red Attack. That was understandable, since Derek did not want June to find out about this underground world. Weedy leaned forward the creator's whole display. You have lost a lot of weight, dear creator. These past few years have been rough, the creator shot me a sideward glance, but I'll turn things around soon enough. And a less than subtle invite for me to join Smart Security. Just as I was about to say I never promised anything, Weedy chipped for me. The creator? You're so insensitive. You think Buggy is worried about Smart Security, so you want to show her the company will survive, Weedy said. But the creator, you're the one Buggy is losing sleep over. Miss Debug's face turned so red I thought her skin had glitched up. But if she and the creator had been more honest with each other, Weedy never have needed to lecture them. Excuse me, Program X's voice was so loud made us all jump. I would like to apologize on my sister's behalf, everyone. Roommate still had much to learn when it came to social etiquette. Certain out your reunion, but we should head for the junkyard. Program X over her hand. Mr. Record and the clothes are already inside. Program X made a fine point just as I was about to voice my agreement and male AI stepped out from behind the hatch door. What's going on here? He asked. My goodness, this guy with a hunchback looked even more pixelated than his debug. 3 more pixelated AI stepped out, making me feel as if I had stumbled to a retirement village. Derek must have had a real tough time hunting so many down here. One of the AI opened her mouth to speak out but could only cough, as if she had a pipe jammed down her throat. These machines were all living on borrowed time. I was shocked when I first heard June had been killing off AI prematurely, but the sight of these patients made me question if Derek was the one being cruel. We both were ward mates. Cyberspace has fallen to tribulation, but not to worry, I have said our word once before, and I can certainly do it again. Cool speech, but I assumed she meant tribulation. Gee, just say we were in trouble instead of trying to impress us with big words. While I appreciate Weedy's support, the excitement in her tone was disturbing. Her smile made me suspect she was getting kicked out of this mess. I hope she understood this was no game. Derek's patience nodded before retreating back into their world. No offense, but they would have been less helpful in combat than kids wielding water pistols. This AI must be plagued with irreversible bugs, and with their expiry dates locked in, the fate of cyberspace no longer concerned them. In the end, we machines were self-centered just like our creators. Let us hurry! Weedy ran down the corridor. Miss Debug yawned as if none of this concerned her, but the way she trotted off told me she cared. The creator slid his whole display along the wall to follow his AI companions. Derek's wristwatch beeped. He tapped the watch, and the whole display surfaced to show a dozen Weedy clones marching toward Ward C. At least it looked like Ward C to me, and if that was the case, the little girl sleeping inside would be in serious trouble. Go on, I said to Derek. We'll take care of Miss Director. Derek dashed for the elevator without sparing me a note. No offense taken, as I knew. He followed these patients more than his life. Derek stepped in the lift, and as did the clothes I prayed the dog would pull through. A dozen clothes might not be much, but Derek was programmed to repair AI, not engage in combat, and, well, maybe he has a secret. For I would love to save everyone in the hospital. Stopping Miss Director was my top priority. I could only hope the death toll would be minimal once the dust settled. Meg stood frozen as if she had entered sleep mode. When I waved at her to her, she sighed. What's the point? The great Weedy and Miss Debug are by your side now. You're back at your full strength, Ultra. I won't be a burden to hold you back. Frank's voice wavered. You're going to join Smart Security, right? Meg picked a terrible time to suck, but she at least waited until we were alone. This meant I was someone she could open up to, which was humbling to know. I felt foolish for assuming Program X would be immune to the pressure of being surrounded by so many powerful AI, not to mention augmented humans. Program X had watched over me since my first line of code was written, and it was about time I did something in return. I gripped Program X by the shoulders. Listen, I'm not going to join Smart Security. We'll always be a team. As I showed my feelings to Program X, I thought she would get all cocky again, but she instead teared up. I should be happy you've got your power back, but I'm really scared. What a sister I am, Program X confessed. I'm like Purple Black, a fake who doesn't even have a real name. You're my one and only sister. I reached for Program X's face, pulled off her glasses and dropped them on the floor. Take these silly things off and just be yourself. Oh, thank you. Program X beamed as she brushed her tears away. It was the type of smile I liked to think she reserved only for me. I took the initiative for the first time and grabbed Program X's hand. With our fingers interlocked, we ran after the creator, Weedy and Miss Debug. Weedy took the lead as we raced through the hallway. Soon enough, we approached an air hatch door that blocked our path in the junkyard. To my side, Program X was huffing for air from that short run. I meant every word when I said we were a team, but her stamina left a lot to be desired. Fine by me, this meant it was meant to keep Program X safe. I let go of her hand and prepared to fight whoever stood in our path. An army of clones blocked the road between us and the hatch door. There were hundreds of them, but they had no room to move aside such a cramped hallway. If the creator was powerful as Miss Debug claimed, he could destroy his clones all by himself, so I should focus on protecting Program X. The clones probably knew they stood no chance. They were sacrificing themselves to slow us down for Miss Director's sake. Based on their survival protocol, as long as one of them still existed somewhere in cyberspace, the rest were expendable. These poor fakes truly believed Miss Director had their best interest at heart. Mother has private business in the junkyard, one of the clones said. Turn back now. Well, she belongs to junkyard, so yeah. I guess that's private stuff. We still had no clue what Miss Director planned to do with A2 or whatever else she found in the junkyard. What if a cave worm is there? And if it were up to me, I would rather not find out the hard way. Miss Director, I share clone history, the creature said. This between the two of us, let me pass. The clones in front of bent their knees, looking ready to pounce, but then they convulsed a virus's cloud through their skin and ripped them apart from the inside. The clones in the front row vaporized without trace. I never saw the create trigger and attack command, but it could only have been him, that dang monster. As more clones raised their arms to attack, Weedy and Miss Debug stepped in front of their creator's whole display to protect him. Perhaps they did so out of habit, but now that the creator possessed an augmented brain, I wondered if there was even need for us AI anymore. So, you are the clones I've been hearing about, Weedy said. Perhaps I should be honored you have chosen me to be your template. The creator shook his head. You're in a condition to fight, Weedy. I can handle them on my own. Dear creator, please. I can still be useful to smart security, Weedy said. Weedy dove at the clones before any of us could protest. She tripped two clones over with a leg sweep, making their heads explode like watermelons smashed by a truck. Ouch! As Weedy raised three more clones with a swing of her arm, I started to think maybe she could pull this off. But as soon as I thought that, Weedy put a hand over her forehead and swayed live, like she had been struck by the spell. Looked like I had spoken too soon. Memory leak detected, Weedy mumbled. Power usage up to 87.3%, errors across 234 to 461 corrupted. A pair of clones placed their hands over Weedy's temples, looking ready to blast her head open in an act of revenge. That's when she appeared. Miss Debug swooped in and pulled the Weedy back just in time. The two clones, failing to return their energy blasts, blew each other into smithereens. Your strength has become extraordinary, dear creator, Weedy said. Looks like an old generation machine like me is no longer relevant. Weedy returned to me at once, the creator said, and Weedy did as told, shouting over like a child racing to get scolded. You and Debug will always have a place in smart security, the creator said. There's nothing more for either of you to prove. Forgive me, dear creator, Weedy scrunched her lips to find back tears. Very well, let us work together the way we always have. Weedy must have wanted to prove her worth one last time, as she probably recognized her corrupted data could not be repaired without a complete reformat. AI could be revived with backups, but a new instance of Weedy and Miss Debug would no longer have the same consciousness, assuming machines possess such a thing. Even if we made it out of this mess alive, the creator would have to decide on the fate of his AI companions. For now, however, we should concentrate on the battle at hand. Do not ignore us! The clones rushed for the creator's whole display. Stay alert, the creator! Weedy shifted her eyes from left to right. 5 clones are approaching from 10 o'clock, with 2 more coming from the opposite side. The creator jammed on his keyboard while Weedy continued to issue advice. And 4 clones are trying to sneak behind us. They'll reach our position in 5.4 seconds. The creator fired several attack commands, and one by one they destroyed the clones Weedy had pinpointed. These two must have been quite the duo back in the days. Even someone as powerful as the creator treasured teamwork, yet here I was, thinking I could stomp all over cyberspace on my own. I should really check if my shame triggers were faulty. A clone seized Program X by the wrist and tried to drag her into women's lies. Not my watch, you damn bootlegs! Miss Debug beat me to the punch as she stepped in and blasted away the clone that was clinging to Program X. A clone lifted her arm as she snagged behind Miss Debug, looking ready to deliver the fatal blast. Look out! Program X knocked down the clone, who shot in 1,000 places when she hit the floor. Program X and Miss Debug pressed their backs against each other to avoid further sneak attacks. The clones circled around them, but they both seemed calm. Not bad for an imposter, Miss Debug brushed her aside. Sit close and try to keep up. Program X ranted. That's my line, Miss Debug. Just call me Debug. They two glanced back and tried smiles before resuming combat. This battle had given them a reason to finally set their issues aside, at least for the time being. Okay, time for me to contribute. I launched a fire free counter command, and to my shock several dozen clones burst in flames at the same time. Miss Director, I should at least thank you for blessing me with this strength. I stared at my palm, unable to believe how destructive I was at full power. And yet my strength was not enough to clear the way. We had no trouble purging these clones in bunches at a time, but more continued to spawn in our path. As I had expected, these fakes had never planned on winning this battle. They came to serve as roadblocks for Miss Director. Program X and Miss Debug were still coping, but I could hear them gasping for breath. If this kept up, the clones would shift this battle in their favor. Even if we leave just one clone alive, she will spawn new copies, Weedy said. The creator, we must raise them all in a single blast. The creator nodded. I can code that command powerful enough to do just that. They turned to the creator. No offense, but we don't have time to wait for you. It's done. The creator struggled to let me know how stupid I had been for adopting him. Augmentation combined with the brain of Prodigy. What a deadly mix. The creator stroked his chin. To execute this command, I'll need more processing power than what is available in Smart Security. Which told me only one thing. Once the creator launched this attack, we had better duck for cover. Weedy, Miss Debug and Program X were low-end machines, so in terms of lending the creator's strength, they were out of the question. Leave it to me, I told the creator as I knew one other option. Now that Miss Director had unblocked my system, I had plenty of power to spare. Alright, time to connect to the creator's augmented mind and show him what I had to offer. Oh, great. No more lasers over here. Alright, no lasers shooting here. Now I have to go below. Oh, I can't go I can't go that way. Fuck. How did I manage that in the first try? Oh, come on! Alright, I need to go to the right. Right. Okay, it shows 1 turn, 2 turn, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so 4 moves. 1, 2, 3, 4. What? I was already there, god damn it. Not yet. Alright. You should. Not yet. Right, when you should. No, too late. Right. Give me a sec. Now I turn it off, I go. It's too late. 1. Right, like that. Boom, baby. I lent you some quantum energy, I said to Crit. Make the most of it. I'll disappoint. The creator typed on his keyboard and an energy ball materialized above the clone's heads. Electric sparks danced around the orb before getting sucked in, causing it to stretch in size. The clones gazed up as the energy ball expanded well beyond the size of their army. After rubbing his hands in anticipation, the creator struck his enter key, and the fireball fell towards the clones. As the orb descended, anyone caught underneath should be crying for their mothers. The clones, incapable of fear, only watched as the fireball collapsed onto their heads. Promax shoved me onto the ground for cover. Weedy and Mizibak pushed each other down until they both lay flat against the floor as well. The fireball landed, producing the blast that caused sparks to hurl everywhere. Another thanks to Promax as the blinding light faded. We all stood back up with the clone's corpses piled across the corridor before us. They might be fakes, but this still counted as massacre. These clones were also victims in Meat Director's game. As they lacked the processing power to think about anything other than survival, perhaps they deserve the most pity. Saved feelings for later Ultra. The clones in this corridor might be wiped out, but plenty of them still lurk around cyberspace. We better move before more of them showed up. Weedy and Weedy ran up to the hunch door as Program X and Tide trailed them. We tried to avoid stomping the clones' remains in a weird way. We were still family. I twisted the wheel on the hunch door and opened the thing up on everyone's behalf. Mister could have blocked this door with firewall if she wanted, but she probably did not perceive as much of threat. Well, except for the creator, but no amount of firewall could stop that freak. Program X pinched my hand, perhaps sensing the doubt that continued to stir in my code. When it came to feelings, my sister might have no equal in cyberspace. I squeezed Program X's hand back, and once we let go of each other, I led the way into the junkyard. Whoa. Beyond this hatch door lay the body parts of deceased AI scattered about with no end in sight. We suspected his director was here to find it too, so I found the AI's location through a database search and led the way forward. Romex gasped after only a couple of steps. I turned around to see she had face planted on the pile of AI limbs. With a sigh, I offered her a hand, and she chucked in a burstment as she rose. Romex had always been a klutz, but I had to cut her break. Aside from the lights that still blinked on some of the body parts and clothing scattered about, the junkyard was almost pitch black. I had better watch my step around here. Romex pouted as we thanked her for demonstrating they needed to be careful. Miss Debug even gave her a firm handshake, but the troll! We shambled toward A2's location in a single file. I wish we could run, but Promax had already shown us what would happen if we tried. We could try flying, maybe? I can detect Miss Director's presence up ahead, Weedy said. She must have meant attack, but anyway, I let her continue. My goodness, her power has soared to new heights since we last met. The crate was still stronger, but not by much, so one slip up and it would be all over. Either Kiro fell, the rest of us had no chance of bleeding this junkyard alive. I want to grab Program X's hand and drag her into hiding. Truth be told, I no longer desired revenge or justice, I just want to be safe with Program X by my side. Program X shook her head, seeing crying through my thoughts again. We're all in this together! Fine, I know already. I rolled my eyes, using annoyance to hide the shame I felt for wanting to flee. Our quantum machine must still be not virus, so there was no way for us to escape physically anyway. The creator had blocked access to the quantum ring, but if my director became desperate, she could set the office on fire. My quantum data was incompatible with standard machines, so I was pretty much trapped. If Miss Director was up ahead, our gang needed to pick up the pace. We waited toward our target, stepping over the AI remains that blocked our way. Miss Director's holo display appeared up ahead, but even as we surrounded her, she afforded us no attention. I had expected to see her lips twist into a weak grin. If not, then maybe skull, like she wanted to line up snails along the driveway and reverse her car over them. But no, Miss Director stared dead ahead with a blank face. I opened her eyes to see what had left her to so dazed. What I found were the remains of an AI in a green china dress. Cables looped around her arm and forced her to stand, but judging from her pale flesh, I would say she was well beyond repair. I scanned this AI's code, and from the amount of data I found, it was a miracle she could render herself in this form. She was a mess of glitches from the waist down. Miss Debug mumbled the name A2, so this girl must be the AI that once served as Ahmed Tuvar's avatar. Seeing her crooks reminded me I too had an expiry date. Program X, there you are, Miss Director said. Say go through your answers, sir. A2's core driver would take weeks or months to repair, and that was time Miss Director did not have. Even if she tried, she might fail in the end. Never before had I seen code this fragmented. A2's twin days were frozen like the rest of her lifeless body. If AI had souls, hers must have already departed. No plan to revive A2, Miss Director, Weedy said. Only wanted was to see her one last time. Program X's face showed no signs of shock, so she must have figured it out as well. Being around this AI made me feel like such an uncaring jerk. Miss Director groaned. Don't be saying that, Weedy. You almost destroyed cyberspace 4 years ago. How are you still alive anyway? Go rot in the junkyard where you belong. No. You belong to junkyard, Director. Weedy stared at her Uncle Boots in shame, and Miss Debug patted her sister's shoulder to cheer her up. See A2 one last time. What a joke, Miss Director said. Jude might have created this junkyard of guilt, but I'm not the sentimental. Program X shook her head. If you're truly heartless, you never would have left A2 here in the first place. Program X had a point. Once an AI expired, the creator could simply wipe the disk and start over, or move on to a new project. If Miss Director had registered for A2 to stay in the junkyard, it meant she missed and wanted to visit her. At least she might have before those brains augments warped her mind. Miss Director waved a USB stick in front of her. I came here to retrieve the mem editor from A2, nothing more. There's almost nothing left to salvage, but this will have to do, Miss Director continued. Too bad those government AI are on my tail, or I could have rewritten the programs from scratch. I ran a search to find out what the mem editor was. Let's see, this page said the mem editor was a program that could codify the memories of AI without their consent. In other words, it was a fancy term for a hacking tool. For us AI, memories were data that could be twisted with a few keystrokes. According to Neopedia, Miss Director had written the mem editor 5 years ago. The program boasted a 98.6% success rate, but A2 stole the source code and attempted to destroy every last line of data. Good. Kind of. Miss Director even tried to use the mem editor on humans. Yeah, that happened. But she did not have much luck. There were no brain augments back then, so perhaps she had tried to manipulate neurons through brainwaves. Right, I imagine that would get messy real quick. Now I knew Miss Director had been a scheming woman long before I was born. She belongs to the junkyard. The malware of this caliber belonged in this grave, but Miss Director had other ideas. She had tried to retrieve the mem editor, and it sounded like her mission was a success. We don't know that yet. Miss Director pointed at her temple. Within a few years, brain augments will become commonplace. I trust you know what this means. It meant the human mind would become vulnerable to viruses that were traditionally coded for machines. The infamous eraser, or to give a more recent example, the mem editor. Miss Director intended to brainwash humans who had received augments, plant fabricated memories to puppeteer them around, just as she had done to me. That bitch! Even without her specifying, I knew Miss Director had one target in mind. And it was the creator. With the mem editor, she could make the creator confess to his crimes or commit murder. Those infected would succumb to her will like those in a toy house. The creator crossed her arms. Your mem editor caused quite a stir, but that was 5 years ago. That ancient code is useless against an augmented mind. I've already upgraded software, Mr. X said. The mem editor will be more than capable of hacking to any augmented mind, and that includes yours. Miss Director's words were making sense by the second. How could she have upgraded what was left of the mem editor so quickly? Either the woman was bluffing or she was a true demon. Miss Director glared at me. I gave you life, yet you've turned your back against me. What an ungrateful heap of junk. Well, maybe you should self-reflect before blaming your AI, I said. This new system can run for a government for a... Who should I think about running? Mr. cut in as if my opinion was not worth learning. I told you to never replace Azra. Seeing A2's corpse seemed to sadden Miss Director at first, but then she showed a flash of supreme confidence, and now rage like I had never seen from her before. Her mind was crumbling before my eyes. Misdirected gritted her teeth, no longer showing the poise she once possessed. Never should get born, Ultra. I don't need an AI or human by my side. As Misdirector lost her composure, even with all the power she yielded, she now seemed more pitiful than terrifying. There was no way she could take on the Creator, let alone the government. Even if she brainwashed them all, the rest of cyberspace would still rise up to dethrone her. The truth was so clear, yet Misdirector still spouted nonsense and forced us to kneel before her greatness. She invented a fantasy world for herself to play in, and we were all forced to tag along. Misdirector lost interest in me and glowered at the Creator. I've worked harder than you, harder than anyone. It's me who should be the best. Why won't you stay out of my way? Children went to see their parents as role models, but in my case, Misdirector showed me how not to live. This obsession with dominance had utterly consumed her. Before meeting these two augmented monsters, I thought I was the strongest being in cyberspace. Without Program X by my side, perhaps I too would have been enslaved by my thirst for power. Misdirector claims she worked harder than anyone, and I would be inclined to believe her. Perhaps she boasted an unmatched work ethic, but unlike the Creator, she was not a born prodigy. Misdirector had devoted her life to becoming number one. She had forfeited her health, riches, and even conscience for a chance at success. Yet in the end, her failure only proved hard work was no match for a natural genius. Okay, you don't know that. Maybe the Creator is also a hard worker. Misdirector reminded me of a volcano that was about to erupt. But her anger evaporated, and now she looked like an empty shell that was so incapable of emotions. I'm done with you, done with everything. Misdirector's whole display flickered out, sparing no chance for any of us to respond. Misdirector has deactivated her education jammer, Weedy said. Scanning for physical location, search complete, our target is heading toward the Motherworm's office. I ran a scan of my own and confirmed Misdirector was near her company headquarters. Sure, I trusted Weedy, but returning to Motherworm now seemed like the worst idea possible. To top things off, Misdirector had switched off her location jammer. The government would surely be sending agents to her position now. In the past, I might have feared it was a diversion, but Misdirector no longer seemed capable of such tricks. If anything, perhaps it was the government AI who had shut off her location jammer. Brace yourselves, everyone, the Creator said. The final battle is upon us. Final battle? I looked Misdirector straight in the eye before she looked out, and it was not the face of someone who seemed ready to fight. The Creator's whole display vanished as he disconnected from the junkyard. Program X, Weedy, and I headed for the exit, but Miss Debug remained still, her eyes fixed on A2's corpse. You kids go ahead, and there's still something I must do here. Discover in Sector 386, Miss Debug said. Miss Debug's speech sounded even more broken than before. Misdirector might have captured our attention, but I had forgotten the Razor was not quite as patient. Miss Debug twitched, looking like she would die at any time. Program X pressed against me for support, and I leaned back to comfort her. I should be concerned for this begun, but her dying state made me realize how badly I wanted to live. Viruses gave no damn about feelings or bad timing. Weedy grimaced, but considering Miss Debug was her sister, she sure seemed calm. I had a hunch Weedy was still keeping one more secret from us. Whether she liked it or not, it was a secret that would expose in a matter of moments. Alright. My mind is predicting a fusion again. Let's not hide the truth anymore, Weedy, Miss Bug said. The Creator will find out sooner or later. I suppose you are right, Weedy said. Very well then. Weedy shut her eyes, and when she opened them, her body was reduced to low rest, just like Miss Debug's. As I had dreaded, Weedy was as broken as her sister. These two acted strong for the Creator's sake, but their last-gen code stood no chance against today's viruses. To survive, I would require disk format, and the hardware aren't great. Or you could do something about that. At least try. Activating back power, Miss Debug said. Activation complete, 37%, something of memories restored. Warning, data is negative 100 to corrupt. Warning, data, corrupt again. Miss Debug announced in a mechanical voice, no longer able to sound natural on a consistent basis. Don't worry, I'll catch up to you all. Corrupt data in sector 706, Miss Debug said. There's one last thing I must do. Weedy bit her lip, looking like she wanted to protest, but in the end, all she could do was nod. Ain't it okay? I'll return for you real soon. If Weedy had chosen to honor Miss Debug's wish to be left alone, Program X and I had no right to object. We trailed Weedy and retreated toward the lift. Once we were back inside the elevator, I tapped the button that would take us up to the Ward C. Should we head for Ahmed first? Program X asked. Let's make sure Derek is okay first, I said. You must be worried about him, and so are we. Weedy beamed at Program X and nodded. Program X patted my arm, looking proud that I had grown to become so considerate. If a battle breaks out in Aquaverse, I'm confident the creator can hold the fort, Weedy said. Yep, in fact there's a pass who would most likely just get in the way. I was a spectator at best, watching and keeping score as the humans waged their wars. The elevator doors opened, and we headed straight for Ward C. Derek and his young patient were inside the ward. The little girl lay in bed as always, while Derek stood over her to make sure she was okay. With no clones in sight, I looked my shoulders to relax. Derek, looking even more pixelated than before, seemed like he had been through quite a battle. For his patient's look glitched up because of the razor, I found no battle-related injuries on her. Derek was giving his best effort to drive away those clones. When I first met Derek, his blunt demeanor had rubbed me the wrong way. Now, however, I knew the knowledge, without reservation, that he was an admirable doctor. Correct! Antivirus software compromised. 3,864 malware found in system, Derek said. Attempting to repair system, not even memory, or data corruption imminent. Those clones must have exploited all the loopholes in Derek's security system. For Derek was an AI doctor, I doubted he would be able to repair himself in this state. Derek wiped a sleeve across his sweat-stained forehead. Hardware running at 146% above optimal temperature. Now, I know what my parents must have been suffering through, Derek said to his patient. Maybe I'm the one who's been cruel, forcing you all to leave you when there's no hope. Is freed for. There's no better doctor anyone could have asked for. The child said, let's live together, Dr. Derek. He's too scared to go alone. The girl wore a sad smile. My creator has been visiting for a long while. I don't think she's coming back, is she? Derek told us the girl's creator had stopped paying her hospital fees, and it looked like this little kid uncovered the truth. This poor child had been abandoned. The freedom is yours, Derek said. I've imprisoned you all for too long. Derek donned the most carefree smile I had seen from him. Maybe he had deciphered what it meant to be a great doctor, or perhaps he had accepted it would forever remain a mystery. If AI must all die someday, then just like humans, we want to leave something behind during our time here. Derek had carved his mark with the countless machines he had saved throughout his career. You made even a primitive AI like me wonder about so much, Derek said to Program X. My world has opened up thanks to you. With tears brimming her eyes, Program X responded with several nods. Derek picked up his electronic tablet from the desk. He walked up to Program X and handed her the device. Here. This belongs to you now. As Program X activated the device, Derek told her, a unique AI like you deserves a registered alias. Think carefully about what you wish to name yourself. At last, Program X could ditch her false identity and register an alias of her own. This should be cause for celebration. But with AI perishing all around us, Program X could only choke back tears. A real doctor would never send his patients to the grave. Derek stripped off his lab coat and tossed it onto a chair. I'm no longer worthy of my title. Derek had seemed content on ending his patient's life, but I suppose reality was not so black and white. It looked like the doctor would face death without knowing whether he had made the correct choice. Right or wrong, there was no turning back now. Derek grabbed his patient's hand and helped her climb out of bed. After putting on her slippers, the girl grinned at the doctor. Let's get going! Derek led the girl out of Ward C, and assumed they were heading for the junkyard, a place from which they would never return. These two were off to the next stage of an AI's journey. How foolish of me to have thought such thing. Once an AI deleted his code, there was no heaven or hell waiting on the other end. We simply ceased to exist. Wait, I called out there. If Jun reformats your disk, you can still start your life over. Derek glanced over his shoulder. Lose my memories and help Jun kill off more AI. I think not. Sectors 235 to 364 destroyed. Ultra. And with that I said no more, purchasing death without Jun's consent. Derek had acted out of his free will. He must would a scheme of going rogue, but the sight filled me with so much hope. Weedy opened her arms, looking ready to hug Program X, but I bet her to it. This was, after all, my job as her brother. After a few sniffles, Program X regained enough composure to ease me away. Perhaps she had done so out of pride, being my older sister and all. We have to stop those clones before they kill anyone else, I said. Let's get your shutdown software fixed up. In that case, I will make my way to Ahmed Virus first. Rebo. Lisa, I was so polite she made 5-star hotel staff look like ducks. The three of us exited towards sea and Weedy headed for the lift, one foot crossing the other like a catwalk model. Oh my, the creator should feel lucky to have such perfect AI serving him. Romex pinched my arm. Stop swinging and start moving! Alright, point taken. Program X entered back into the repair room. To clarify, Program X ran with her arms swinging, showing none of the elegance when displayed, but faces never change. Totally. Once Program X and I entered the repair room, we both knew what to do. Program X sat on the chair and I once more attached the blue wires onto her hair clip. I then powered the machine to resume our repair process. It would suck if we had to start from the very beginning. Once again, Program X fell into sleep mode as the machine were to life. I called her name a few times, but she didn't respond. Wait, what will be her name? Now that's a mystery. Good, with her out of commission, it was time to carry out my plan. I dropped my hands and went to work. Scanning hardware, I whispered, checking power share between Program X and me. Scan results echoed inside my head. Ultra 99.99996666265 probably messed up there. Percent Program X 0.00033337349%. Unfair bounds just as the creators had said. Swap power percentage values, I said. Assigned 99.99% of power share to Program X. I heard 3 confirmation prompts, and I said yes to all of them. Not only that, but I also wrote a program that would block any attempts to swap these values back. Program X would easily be able to hack my soul to her newfound power, but at least I no longer had the strength to undo this action even if I changed my mind. This director could brainwash arguments humans with an editor, and even though the creator said it would not be able to bypass his firewalls, I refused to take a chance. This director's mind seemed to be falling apart, but I would still exercise caution against someone with that level of power. In fact, being unstable might make her more dangerous than ever before. If the creator fell, the rest of us would follow. In that case, with Program X for flowing strength, at least she might have a chance to escape. Without Program X by my side, I would have been engulfed by my desire for power a long time ago. Perhaps I never deserved the strength, but the AI sitting before me certainly did. As the transfer process took place, my every thought and movement demanded so much more effort than before. This must be how Program X had been feeling this whole time. There was so much energy radiating from Program X and I nearly collapsed onto my backside. I could now appreciate just how powerful our quantum computer was. It would be a lie to say I didn't regret my decision in the slightest, but I must take pride in my choice. I left Program X alone and disconnected from Retrotech. The trip took a while now, that I was so powerless, but eventually I arrived outside the Ahmed Virus headquarters. I connected the virtual camera setup inside the lab. Time to finish this, Miss Director. Miss Director slouched against the backrest of an office chair with no company by her side. Her eyes looked lifeless, as if her heart and soul had drifted off to a faraway place. It looked like Weedy had also connected the virtual camera hanging at the roof. She stood next to Miss Director, looking as dumbfounded as I was. Once I walked up to Weedy, we transferred into the computer from Miss Director for a face-to-face confrontation. Miss Director trembled as we materialized inside the screen before her. The holo display must be faulty, because Miss Director had no reason to cower against the likes of us. One of the mightiest individuals in cyberspace was acting like some maiden trap in a dungeon. Mystifying in one sense, revolting in another. I wanted to tell myself to stay alert, but my heart ached so deeply, and a gut feeling told me this was no trick. Who are you? Mrs. Director pointed a crooked finger in my direction. No! Get away! Get away from me! A dozen clones jumped to my Director's defense, but my power forfeited the presence of these fakes sent me a fight or flight response into overdrive. Now that I knew what Program X had been going through, I respected her more than ever before. If she needed more time to repair her shutdown program, I would be the one to provide it. I marched to other clones ready to sacrifice myself if it came down to that, but Weedy put a hand on my shoulder and shook her head. There's no need, Weedy said. This battle is already over. I brushed Weedy's hand aside. As long as Miss Director has the mammoth, she's a threat to everyone in cyberspace. Run and scan Miss Director's augmented mind. You'll know. What I mean? Wait, she used it on herself? I did as suggested, and what I found was a complete mess. Miss Director must have used the mammoth to purge her thoughts and rip her mind to shreds. Here I was thinking Miss Director would use the mammoth to brainwash not just the creator but every augmented mind in the world. It turned out she only had one target all along. Her envy toward the creator, her addiction with being the best, all gone. In a sense, she was finally free. It was the only way a mind like hers could have been saved. So much for a final battle. I felt cheated as if Miss Director had robbed me of my chance to meet a glorious death. Mother, I had my expectations, and you failed to meet them. Right, because it was always about me. Maybe Miss Director was meant to grow into a big scary monster. Then our gang would hold hands and defeat her using love and friendship. But no, even as Miss Director restored her mind, she did so for her benefit. She did not exist to make me feel like a hero. No way she should grant me that pleasure. Miss Director put herself first, second and third, since I was the same way. That must be further proof that I was her creation. The meme editor continued to corrupt the data in Miss Director's augmented mind. Her greatest strength had become her greatest downfall. At this rate, Miss Director would no longer be capable of speech, and her motor functions might also crumble. The thought of not being able to hear her voice again hit me hard. Perhaps I would have my final battle after all, but rather than bringing Miss Director down, I would fight to save her. I could not fathom why I should miss the woman who had used me as her lab rat, yet the fear was so very real. Maybe I just want to see Miss Director punished. If she destroyed her mind, she would not be able to suffer through whatever sentence the government dished out. There would be no justice. Whatever my reason was, prepare yourself, Mother, because here I come. Yeah, we can't allow her to do that. Whoa. What was that guy on the left? That guy's following me. Why is he following me? Oh. Okay, my mistake here. And now we ended it up here. Right. Oh, for fuck's sake, as always, I don't observe where I go. Shit. Shit. One, two. I will make it. Ah, that bastard is behind. And I won't make it again. God damn it. Alright, I think I know how we'll do this. More or less. I failed again. More or less have the basic idea of how to deal with this, but right now, boom, baby. Oh, okay. Right now, not to. not to die. Lucky. Okay, that should it. The relief I felt proved at least a part of me still loved his dark hair. No matter how hard I tried, I could not sever my ties with her. Yeah, I understand, man. I would probably do the same thing. In his position, be thankful you, which, after all that you had done, there were people in the AI who still cared for you, for your sore life. Get a reason and thank Program X next time you see her. Most people die with a grid if they were crowned number 2 in cyberspace, but this fact only drove Miss Director into badness. The clones raised their hands, looking like they still want to fight. Either they were loyal to Miss Director until the end, or they were simply unaware of what had happened to her. Stop it, all of you! Came Program X's booming voice from behind. With quantum energy flowing inside her footsteps alone caused the ground to rumble. Wait, you're wearing his coat? Program X stepped into the light as she walked up to my side. She had untied her hair and allowed it to flow freely once more. Earlier on, she must have changed her hairstyle to differentiate herself from Miss Debug, but those insecurities were a thing of the past. It took me a second to recognize the lab coat Program X was wearing. I noticed it the first moment she appeared. Dirk had left his coat in Ward C before he left, so Program X must have picked it up on her way here. The coat gave Program X a commanding presence, but even without it, her newfound strength caused the space around her to heat up. As Weedy staggered back, her shocked expression left me rather satisfied. I was, after all, the mastermind behind Program X's transformation. The clones surrounded Program X, but none of them dared to draw near. If I were them, I would log out of augment bars and never show my face here again. Even if those clones brought their entire army here, it might not be enough to beat Program X. I used to think my sister always dragged me down, but our roles might now be reversed. The energy Program exuded caused several clones to tear apart. A few others, perhaps to their better judgment, teleport away from their scene. The clones who remained were either loyal or just plain stupid. They'd heard fireballs to Program X, perhaps hoping numbers could overcome their lack of strength. Program X twitched as the fireballs popped around her harmlessly. Even water balloons would have done more damage. The clones lowered their hands and backed away, probably realizing they had no chance of victory. Their blank stares revealed that even now, they were unable to grasp the concept of fear. Program X brushed a hand across the sleeve of her lab coat. My name is A3, and I'm no longer the weakling you once knew. Wait, okay, she will be angry about me saying A3. Right. And well, at least that was the case with A2. She really didn't like being called A2. But hopefully it's not a problem here. Program X must have registered that name using the tablet Dirk had given her. So much for trying to cut ties with Miss Director. Even like that, their bond was now stronger than ever before. No matter how ashamed we are of being Miss Director children, no amount of software or hardware upgrade could change its reality. In my head, however, I would always refer to my sister as Program X. A-cubed. Sounded weird to say A-cubed. And that small tree must be a pain for humans to type. Yeah. Miss Director's eyes glistened with tears. No, please, leave me alone. Program X marched up to Miss Director's holo display. A part of me still insisted this was a trap, and I wanted to warn Program X to keep her guard up. Program X tapped her fingers against Miss Director's cheeks. Miss Director did the same thing for Program X years ago, and now their position had been reversed. Don't be afraid, Program X said in a gentle voice. I'll protect you from all the demons. Miss Director lowered her head, looking like she wanted to have faith in Program X's words. Please, don't let them hurt me. Miss Director had really forgotten who Program X and I were. She was like a child seeking for a guardian, and out of everyone here, Program X was the most suitable candidate. Program X always opened her heart to others, even if the people in question had once wronged her. She made me feel like an evil dictator who only cared for himself. My scanner alerted me to the government AI's arrival. In a matter of seconds, they would connect to the virtual camera in this lab and let their presence be known. Miss Director must have deactivated her location jammer because she wanted to be found. No matter how much she denied it, All the crimes she had committed must have piled on her conscience. Not only with Project Redemption, but all the ones she had created 4 years ago. That ended her up the chain of other crimes I did not even know about. Considering how ruthless she was, it would not surprise me in the slightest. "We must escape immediately," one of the clones said. The others nodded, and they all teleported out of the lab. "Enough!" Program X exclaimed. Clones materialized back into the room and collapsed onto all fours. Program X must have grabbed them back by force. "Mr. Hacker can't even save herself now," Program X said. "You have the government's undivided attention and mine too." Program X stopped her hair clip. "I have a record of digital signature, so don't force my hand." "Searching for alternate route to survival. Unable to compute," a clone said. "Emergency extinction imminent." Before I even had a chance to feel sorry for the clones, the government AI logged into augment the virus. Program X stepped forward to represent our group. "Mr. Hacker is here, and the clones have been subdued." Program X closed her eyes and mumbled under her breath. The government AI also whispered to one another, looking like they were in deep conversation, but I wasn't able to keep up. We and I exchanged baffled glances as Program X negotiated with the government. In the presence of these top-tier AI, there was no room for me to participate. Program X exhaled, looking like her child had ended. She said to Miss Director, "A few men in suits will come to pick you up soon. Better friends, so make sure to follow their instructions." Miss Director looked doubtful, but she still nodded. Program X must be referring to government agents on their way to arrest Miss Director. "Those clowns were all a real handful," one of the government AI said, probably slowing his speech down for my sake. "Miss Director must answer to her crimes." Miss Director once said she would let the government arrest her when she felt like it, and now things were playing out as she had planned. Here I was being I heroically led our gang on this adventure, but all of us, including the government, were mere spectators being forced to watch as Miss Director destroyed herself. Miss Director also enslaved Program X and me, forcing us to act against our wills. I told the government AI, wishing for someone to hear my story. The government officials looked at each other as if wondering why I mentioned such a pointless fact. After an uncountable pause, one of them replied, "Miss Director will be arrested for the creation of the clones. She has also programmed an unregistered AI, and her agent said, we'll have to investigate the case too." So Miss Director was right all along. If she had announced Project Redemption to the world, no one would have fused over the fact that I had been trapped inside an illusion. One of the government AI frowned. "I know it's unfair, but the law is written by humans. Until AI can prove they're sentient, I doubt things will change them very soon." Another government AI chimed in. "It makes you feel better. In a way, Miss Director had already been punished enough." I sighed. "The mammoth has pretty much turned her into a zombie." The government AI shook his head. "She's been suffering for a lot longer than that. Having a single implant is risky enough," and I explained. "Miss Director's brain is crammed with augments. We have no idea where she even got them from. No one has spelled accept an operation like that." "But I didn't notice any side effects, not until the very end at least," I said. "The effects must have become unbearable by the end, but she's been tormented for who knows how long," everyone AI responded. "Every brief she took must have tortured her, I can promise you that much." I recalled sneaking to Miss Director's room and seeing her shelf filled with all kinds of medication. Now I had an idea of what those tablets were taken for. I wondered what side effects Miss Director could suffer through. Skull-splitting headaches, hearing screams in her sleep, or perhaps being slashed by demons every time she closed her eyes. In the end, the torment conquered her desire to be number one, and she chose to escape from reality using the Mem-editor. Miss Director possessed unfathomable intellect, yet she was so very pathetic on the inside. I claim I had not seen any signs of Miss Director's suffering until we met in the junkyard, but think back, that was simply a lie. I had seen Miss Director's mind blank out during her days at Neonya. If I had taken action back then, perhaps I could have saved her. But all I had now were what-ifs. Miss Director's arguments might be at fault, or maybe she had mental issues all along, and the implants only make things worse, a government AI said. Guess we'll never know, now the most useful of remarks, but it was all I had to offer. Miss Director had devoted her life to deciphering the mind of AI, yet in the end she never even understood herself. Ultra ends. A3, please visit our office in an hour's time to answer a few questions, a government AI said. "You two are victims, but you're still involved in this case, so I hope you understand." After ending the government official, Program X turned the clowns. "Follow me if you wish to live." I've got my own plans for your bootlegs. A government AI granted. I trust you will keep the clones underground. We will keep a close eye on all of you. The government AI logged out of Hack Antivirus. It sounded like Program X had agreed with them on a solution for the Weedy clones. The clones did not speak a word, but I imagined they would obey Program X soon enough. It was that or death for these poor fakes. I must return to Retrotech to check on Buggy, Weedy said. Their creator was in this office before, and he had planted a virtual camera inside that corner room. You two may wish to have a look. After offering Program X and me a bow, Weedy disconnected from Hack Antivirus. Now it was just my sister and me, along with Miss Director and her broken clones. I remember that room over in the corner. The last time I was there, I had tried to peek inside, but without any virtual cameras installed, all I saw was black. I scanned for nearby virtual cameras, and indeed, there was a new device ready to accept my connection request. Program X and I hooked ourselves in. Yep, the sisters are there, the pictures. This whole time I had dreaded Miss Director might have secret weapons stashed inside the room, but there was nothing of the sort. Instead, all I found was a wall filled with photos of A2 and some other AI I had never met before. The second AI, just like A2, sported green hair that matched the shade of her china dress. She too must be a former mother of Hack Antivirus. Program X sniffed back tears as she walked up to my side. Since these photos made me want to weep as well, so Miss Director did love her AI. After all, if I had remained loyal to Miss Director, perhaps my pictures would have been added onto this wall. At least I like to believe that would be the case. With Miss Director being so powerful, she probably could have killed Program X and me whenever she wanted. I want to cling on the possibility that she might have cared for us. After blinking away her tears, Program X gazed in my eyes with renewed vigor. Let's return to Retrotech and see how the bug is doing. Wherever Program X wants to go, I will be sure to follow, even if it meant crawling to the edge of cyberspace. Upon returning to Retrotech, Program X and I were bombarded by the sounds of shattering glass. June's whole display hovered next to the trophy case in the lobby. As the trophies fell and shattered the floor one by one, I knew June must be the person responsible. I think she's not sleeping too well. Or too much. If June had wanted the trophies gone, deleting them from the lobby would have been enough, but she probably needed an excuse to vent. June continued to knock the trophies over, and with her glasses removed, I could now see the aging skin and she had kept hidden underneath. Alright, I know it might be surprising what I'm going to say, but if you basically cut your connection to that engine, whatever, to the computer, right? Maybe you can become a doctor, man, now. I mean, you know, I know that the power you have is not much, but it might still be more than the old generation, and, you know, well, okay. Turk has left what I knew are just said to Program X, and I walked out the whole display. Retrek is in ruins, and it's all because of me. Program X put on the smile she could. Retrek has saved a lot of AI through all these years. You deserve plenty of credit for that. Save it, I've killed off more than I can count, and no amount of reasoning can justify that. You really seem to have a thing against AI. I try to keep my tone as gentle as possible. Believe it or not, I let the AI development field back in my heydays, June claimed. June found Retrek so she could well have been one of our past leaders in AI research. I kept quiet and allowed her to speak. Not long after forming Retrek, I programmed an AI and granted him control of a robotic body. Then one night I came home to find my daughter strangled to death by this robotic AI. Each of these priorities in the name of self-defense, or so he claimed. Oh. No, that's a good reason to hate actually AIs, I guess. As AI became intelligent, there had been more reports of them turning against their creators. If a corrupted AI also possessed a physical body, well, Jude had discovered the consequences firsthand. Still, even if defective AI rewrote his code, it was his creator's fault for the system oversight. Of course, I would not dare to bring this up in front of June now. June glared as if her daughter's death was my fault. So yeah, I do have a grudge against your kind. None of you understand how terrifying are rogue AIs. What's wrong with me killing them off? "No test fingers, you humans," I said. "I've passed my quantum energy onto PolishLynx, but guys like the Cleared are still stronger than both of us combined." Jill shook her head. "You can't be much distorted more powerful than the human brain. Once we invent the driver necessary to harness the strength, it's over for mankind." "Humanity has no chance of winning this race," June concluded. "In a matter of years, a packaged in cereal boxes will be more powerful than Miss Director." As frightening as that sounded, it seemed like a possibility. The Motherworm had once threatened cyberspace, yet by today's standards, AI written for schools' assignments would be able to vanquish her. "Your quantum rig is just a step in the journey," June said. "Soon we'll have wetware, a true artificial brain, so you should enjoy the attention while it lasts." "And by the time that happens, no amount of brain augments would suffice," I said. June nodded. "Humans will have to upload their minds onto machines. The more we try to keep up with you, the more we become like you." "Brain augments, mind uploads, these are all temporary solutions," June said. "Someday a single AI will be more diligent than every person in the human race combined." June narrowed her eyes at Program X and B. "The singularity is already here, but I'll never accept any augments or uploads. I just hope I'll be long dead by the time you machines decide to kill us all." I for one had no interest in destroying the human race, but some people would always insist on believing in such theories. June adopted a sincere tone as she continued. "Just to be clear, I didn't invent the eraser virus. I never trust AI, but I still have a conscience." In the past, Program X would have jumped at the chance to say that she trusted June. Now she stared at the whole display, looking like she wanted to catch signs of a lie. Perhaps Program X had grown more cautious after all that she had been through, or maybe her newfound intelligence had something to do with it. The latter possibility horrified me, as it would mean I had altered Program X personally without meaning to do so. I was a fool for not realizing power would change someone at her core. "With Derko, it's time to shut her down for good," June said. Program X stamped her bows together as if she were the president. "I could look after this place in Derk's stead." June leaned forward to inspect Program X more closely. "You certainly look the part, wearing Derk's lab coat and everything." With flushed cheeks, Program X started to remove her coat. Derk had dumped this coat aside before he left, but he never gave anyone permission to wear it. "Leave it on, darling," June chuckled as she put up a hand. "You know, Derk wouldn't shut up about you during his final checkup. I have a feeling he would have approved of you." Program X nodded. "You won't be disappointed." "And I'll help as well. I'll follow Program X no matter where she went. We'll speak to the government and see if our quantum computer can be delivered to your office." "Fine. I'll send over a list of medical programs you'll both need to install," June said. "This trial period. Mind you, one slip up and I swear I'll delete every last byte out of this place." Program X smiled and June answered with a snort. "About us humans, you AI never would have existed. Don't you two ever forget that." June disconnected the whole display after speaking her mind. Amended would most likely view AI with disdain until the bitter end, but as humans often like to say, money talked. "June, we would remember both your deeds and your crimes. I would stay here not for June but out of respect for Dirk." And I wondered Program X shared my line of thinking. Program X beamed as she traced her hand down the wall. Rhetoric might be old, but it looked like my sister had found a place she could call home. For working for June was far from ideal compared to being slaved by Miss Director Rhetoric. Might as well be heaven. "Well, we can always redesign it." "Hey," I muttered to myself, "switch off combat animations." "Combat animations switched off," said the Michael voice. Program X had never covered from the truth, so I too must learn to be brave. I was an AI, and no amount of whining would change this fact. "Let's catch up with Miss Debug," I said. Program X nodded, and we boarded the lift to head for the underground floor. Once the elevator came to a stop, we strolled through the hallway and made our way back up to the hatch door, where the smart security sisters stood facing one another. Miss Debug put a comb back into her pajama pocket, and that was when I noticed Weedy's hair had been straightened. Weedy ran a hand through her purple locks, looking like a satisfied customer in a hair salon. Were it for her pixelated appearance, she would have looked perfect. I would say she still looks cute. They both look cute. But yeah, Debug is my favorite still. When will you ever learn to come on your own? Miss Debug. Never, so we'll always have to take care of me, Buggy. Since we usually seemed so mature, it was cute to see her acting spoiled for once. Perhaps this was in fact her true nature. As Program X and I reached the hatch door, Miss Debug spun around to face us, but she was looking in the wrong direction. Who goes here? Miss Debug. Pardon me, but I can no longer see. All that, well... It is Ultra and Miss 6, Weedy said. Miss Debug's facial recognition software must be corrupted beyond repair. Judging from how fast this virus was spreading, I predict Miss Debug had less than an hour left to live. Even 4th Gen AI had no hope against the Raptor, let alone a Gen 1 machine. I will call their creator now, Weedy said. Miss Debug stirred her slippers and gave a tiny nod. The creator's hollow display materialized in front of the hatch door. Program X and I shuffled back to give the smart security gang more room. Weedy winked before pushing Miss Debug lightly on the back. After stumbling a few steps, Miss Debug paused in front of her creator. A2's death was my fault, Debug, the creator said. You don't have to feel guilty about what happened. Miss Debug scratched the back of her head. Stop lying to me. I've looked through the maze of A2's memory bank and I've salvaged enough to know what really happened 4 years ago. Now I knew why Miss Debug wanted to stay behind in the junkyard with A2. Extracting all of the broken data from her corpse must have taken quite a while. Purging the Motherworm took its toll, and the trauma caused me to unfuse with A2, Miss Debug said. Fearing for my life, I was the one who had clawed back to smart security and left A2 behind to die. Miss Debug pressed her forehead against the creator's whole display. You wiped my memories of the incident and took the blame for A2's death on yourself. Stupid creator, always caring about us even though our feelings are artificial. Miss Debug put up a hand and the creator lifted his palm to meet hers. In the past, Program X might have shed tears of joy over a moment like this. Now she just stood there and smiled. Ever since I granted her my quantum power, slowly but surely, she had begun to change. I had better talk this out of her as soon as possible. Let me update you on what happened now when the virus, Program X said. Miss Debug put up a hand to intervene. Weedy has already told me. After bringing Mr. Records down, she realized what she got. Mr. gave Program X and me life, which complicated our feelings. Miss Debug meanwhile did not carry such signs, so I could not blame her for showing Miss Director no mercy. The creator exhaled as if he had been holding his breath since this ordeal began. Weedy, Debug, shut down your systems. I need to reformat both of your disks. Instead of being his command, Weedy and Miss Debug exchanged nods. Weedy then said to her creator, I think it is time for us to say goodbye. Miss Debug stepped forward to stand by her sister's side. The 5th generation of AI on the horizon. You will need a new water that can keep up. All I have to do is upgrade drivers and transfer you onto new hardware, the creator said, and then you will be compatible with the newest programs on the web. Reformats, then a complete code refactor. Weedy said, would that truly still be us? Miss Debug nodded. You always cared for us, like humans, Mr. Creator. And we too wish to feel unique until the very end. A pair of AI who yearn to be born, blossom, and wither like a living being. Weedy and Miss Debug were on the brink of death, yet they had never looked more alive. Limb augmentations were safe nowadays, but some humans refused them, believing such atrocities would disconnect them from their souls. Reformers held the same implication for AI who claimed to be unique. I understood Weedy and Miss Debug's sentiment in their shoes. I would opt for an upgrade. A reformat might mean death, but at least I could re-exist in a new form. I suspected the sister also had a different motive. Rather than upgrading code from 4 years ago, it would be more efficient for the creator to program a new AI from scratch. If my thought was correct, in the end, Weedy and Miss Debug still played smart security and the creators would be Inc. above their lives. Perhaps the creator could build his own quantum machine or even invent the wetware June had spoken about. Either way, Weedy and Peace Debug's code would be incompatible with this new tech. The creator nodded. I've always given you true freedom, and that's never going to change. We'll always be proud authors of smart security. Weedy's eyes were wet with tears, well mine too. The smart security sisters' voices had grown so mechanical it was upsetting to hear. I'll hunt down whoever is responsible for the eraser, the creator said. That's my promise to you both. Miss Debug smiled with tears in her eyes. Just take care of yourself and quit making those costume modes. Weedy chuckled. Yeah, forever declined. As Weedy and Miss Debug walked up to the hatch door, I knew that they had made up their minds. The end of journey, and the start of another. Miss Debug said even though there was no such thing as an afterlife for AI, if those words made her better, that was good enough for me. Weedy and Miss Debug spun the hatch door's wheel together. A click sounded and they pushed the door open in unison. June was spot on in a lot of areas. In a few years, children will be able to code AI more powerful than Program X. Technology just like time, waiting for no one. Program X and I now work for June, who had better rewarded us with regular hardware upgrades, otherwise we would both be phased out by the 5th or 6th AI generation. After offering the creator one last grin, Weedy and Miss Debug stepped into the junkyard. The sight inspired me to cherish every moment I had in cyberspace. The hatch door scratched closed, ending with a toot that caused the ground to rumble. I doubted that any of us would ever see Weedy or Miss Debug again. Is that so? In a matter of hours, their code would be completely corrupted. If I were them, I would delete myself and not give the viruses the pleasure of ending me. The creator eye looked watery, but it might just be those of his lights playing tricks. He had no doubt said goodbye to plenty of other AI before, so he must be numb to farewells. If Weedy and Peace Debug were human, I wondered if the creator might have shed a tear. No matter how hard we AI tried to act like people, we would always be imprisoned behind our monitors. Looks like Ultra passed his quantum energy onto you, the creator says. He did, Remix frowned. I was smart secret would be okay with those two gone. You kids just worry about yourselves, the creator said. I'll control this industry no matter the cost. Program X shoved closer to my side. After all the time we had spent together, I almost forget the creator was responsible for crimes that had destroyed lives. When Program X and I first met the creator, he typed in script for us both. He had, however, also snuck spyware into our systems. Even now, those programs were inside our code, reporting our every move. The second either of us tried to remove our spyware, the creator would probably kill us both without a blink. Program X stepped in front of me and stretched arms out like a nerd defending his figure collection from his parents. Thanks sis, but the creator was too powerful for either of us. You are still welcome to join me, the creator said, but his eyes were fixed on Program X. AI powered by quantum energy are hard to come by. At least the creator was honest with his body language. Now the Program X possessed my strength, she was the one he had his sights on, while I was just a pre-order bonus. Thank you for the offer, but I've already found a new home, Program X said and exhaled in relief. The creator shrugged. You're lost. I can program an AI more powerful on my own anyway. He must be one of those join me or die kind of guys. The creator logged out without saying goodbye. This guy might have saved our lives, but if anyone threatened his position as number one, he would become ruthless like misdirector or perhaps worse. Program X and I were alone now, but before I had a chance to feel intimidated by her newfound strength, a dozen clones teleported in front of us. One of the clones spoke on her group's behalf. We have arrived just like you asked. All we ever wanted was a chance to live. I'm the new manager of Retrotech, Program X. Serve me and find yourself a purpose life. Every clone of Retrotech must be purged immediately. The clones whispered to each other as they negotiated the possibilities. After a brief chat, one of them said to Program X, It shall be done. Program X pointed at the lift. Wait for me up in the World Sea. Once the government sets Mother free, I'm counting on you all to look after her. The clones march away in a line as ordered. They must be obeying for the sake of survival, but with time, I hope we could bring some warmth to their frozen hearts. Its director was powerful, so the clones worshipped her, and now that Program X possessed an abundance of quantum energy, the clones flocked to her instead. Strength ruled above all else in cyberspace. Program X had referred to Miss Director as Mother once more. Perhaps this meant she had forgiven her, Program X, and I had no choice but to look after Miss Director now. We're the only family she had left. Neonya might have just been a character in Miss Director's script, but I still shared plenty of happy memories with her. I wonder if Miss Director cherished at least some of those times as well. The laughter from these days still arced in my head. If I could brush them aside, I would have the willpower to say screw it and all kick Miss Director out onto the streets. But no, that thought alone made me tear up with guilt. No matter how hard I tried to learn from Program X, I could never become as kind as she was. Miss Director is my mother too, I forced myself to say. Let's look after her as a team. Of course I want to stay by my side. Program X's words were as sweet as her smile. Thank you for giving me this power, Program X continued. My processors are firing faster than my thoughts can keep up. What an incredible feeling! Program X studied her hands as she could see energy flowing out of them. With this power at my disposal, I can achieve anything I set my mind to. For a second there, I had dreaded she might say, "This is not enough, I need even more power." Perhaps it was selfish as my part, but something about Program X's newfound confidence put me off. Maybe I felt like I was losing my status, or perhaps my paranoia protocol had triggered, made me fear the Program X I knew and loved was no more. Program X switched all of her software to private. Maybe she wanted to prevent her power from being misused. But regardless, it was impossible to deny something about her had changed. Quantum energy is no joke, I said. Let me know if it ever feels too overwhelming. Program X flashed me a cheeky grin. You want some of this power back? I shook my head frantically. For one, I would not back down from my decision, and two, I feared if I said yes, she might slice off my limbs and feed them to the clones. Superintelligence could be seen as burden, causing one to fret over every tiny detail. In that case, I might have cursed Program X without realizing it. Or maybe deep inside I had known this all along, and I chose to force this pain out to someone else. After all, I had never been known as a saint. Program X had spoken to the government AI at a speed that was beyond my comprehension. This meant she was slowing down for my sake right now. 1 second for me must have felt like hours or even days to her. Every second sailed by in her head while the rest of us struggled to keep up. When I thought of things that way, Program X's smile felt so condescending. If this kept up, she might not grow bored of my slow speed and dump me for a more powerful AI. Calm down, Ultra. There was so to imagine the worst every time. Behind the wall of competence. Program X must still have a gentle heart. A heart that let her weep for others. A heart that too often placed her own needs last. With my belief held firm, I opened a modeling program and rendered a 3D flower in my hand. If I remembered right, the flower from Program X's memory bank had white petals and a yellow stigma, so I did my best to match the vision of my model. Cute. I offered the flower to Program X. Just like the old times, sis. Program X tilted her head, looking puzzled at first, but then my feelings registered with her, and she answered with a grin. It was a smile I wanted to see her keep forever. See, Lazra? Asked Program X next to the flower. Her voice cracked to simulate joy. Simulation or not, seeing her smile made me feel at peace. I used to think Program X was such a crybaby, but now I prayed she would never change. For it shakes me to admit this. I wish for Drill's prediction to become a reality as soon as possible. Program X would fall behind as technology advanced, and then I hope she would show me more of her old self again. Until then, I will remain by my sister's side to keep her in check. We must face the government AI's interrogation soon, but with Program X here, I had nothing to fear. People had good reason to dread AI might wipe out humanity in their never-ending pursuit for power. For I could not speak for all the machines in cyberspace. I promised. I had no interest in global domination. The creator moved. Vowed he would hunt down the hacker responsible for the Eraser virus. This was a mission he must endure alone, as my journey had come to an end. My priority had now been set. I would save our program exercise, treasuring every peaceful moment we shared from this point on. Someday, I would either be upgraded beyond recognition, or I would be deleted and replaced by a new AI. I must embrace either fate with open arms, just as Weedy and Miss T-Bughead. Hey sis, you had devoted your life to my well-being, and now it was time for me to watch over you in return. God damn it, that was great! In loving memory of clip. Oh. Got to say that truly was amazing. I freaking loved it. And well, I loved Unhack 1, but got to say, this is a game level higher. A story level higher even. It was amazing. Oh, and no matter how we look at it, there is a possibility for continuation left, right? Creator will try to hunt down the guy that created the virus that basically destroys AIs. So, Eraser, the guy that created Eraser, be ready for our appearance maybe, sometime. Oh man, I love this so much. Alright, it's 6 minutes to 5 AM, so let's end it here. Man, but this was really great. Good job, job well done, really. Really great. Alright, I'm heading to bed. I hope you basically enjoyed the whole series. If you haven't seen the past ones, so Unhack, the first one, and the DLCs of Unhack Destruction, it's in the cards, it's in the description, so you can go there however you want. I need to actually play Unhack first and Destruction again. I think I will do a marathon for myself. Alright, but for now, let's end it here. And well, as I probably said already, I really hope you enjoyed this Unhack 2 series. And see you in the next game. Bye bye.